Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And we are talking about emotional wellness of the 8 foundational principles of wellness. And we are here with Dr. Shawn Weiss from seniorhealthandwellness.org. And Dr. Shawn, you have been talking about emotional wellness and how to keep a positive attitude full of gratitude, how we, move ourselves into that emotional sense of calm, of, well, not necessarily serenity, but just self-esteem. It's that feeling of desire, of wanting to have the best in life. It's the very first step. And it was interesting when I saw this, this wheel. And the very first principle they talked about was emotional wellness. I was kind of shocked a little bit about why they put that first. What is your definition and why does emotional wellness come first?
To me, it affects every single foundational principle. And, it's very similar to the coaching I do with the pillars of health and emotional mental health. It's at the top. Because if your attitude, and we haven't really spoken a lot about attitude in these segments, but attitude is huge. You're not going to accomplish things or have a growth mindset if you're stuck in a negativity pattern, or if you're stuck in depression and sadness. You have to know that that's all connected.
Right. And if you're a family caregiver or care partner, that can cloud everything. Tell me a little bit about how, if you're a care partner, if you're a caregiver, what are some things you can do to help in this area? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
And
I love the care partner term, Suzanne. I love the care partner term versus caregiver, because it implies the connectivity, right? So if you are a care partner, if you find yourself in the position as we're getting older of maybe taking on that role with your spouse, with a parent, with a grandparent, as a family member, and I also deal with professional caregivers, clinicians, nurses, therapists. But what I see most in the last 26 years is those who are family members who are into that role and the toll that it takes emotionally on them. And that affects them emotionally, that affects them physically. And we see a lot of burnout.
Yeah.
And part of our role is advocating for those family members who are in the role as care partner and helping them navigate the challenges of having those responsibilities on a day-to-day basis. It is easy to burn out. And if you think about what's happened since COVID, we just saw a tremendous increase in the amount of caregiver burnouts. And you see that term quite a bit. But if you're a care partner, what I see is you're exhausted. You don't even take time for yourself.
No.
You're burning the candle at both ends. Maybe you're still working, and then you're coming back to taking care of a spouse or a mom or a dad, or traveling to their house to give them care and help them with A, B, or C.
Right.
And you just are spent. And when that happens, not only is it affecting your mental state, it's affecting you physically. You become more prone to illness. You become more prone to develop disease. You get, you get weak. You're not exercising. You tend to not eat well also when you're burned out. So all of those things, when you're emotionally burnt out, it's critical to start with that self-care concept to get your emotional health back on check. And that's when I talk about, making sure that you start with finding time for yourself every day.
Yeah. And I think the other compounding part of a care partner is guilt. It's that feeling that I can't be everywhere all the time. And when I'm away, I feel guilty. I feel guilty if I do something for myself. And that is something that we see a lot when somebody is being a care partner to a loved one. It's like, I'm not allowed to have joy because my husband is at home and I should be there. There's a lot of that kind of a dynamic going on, is there not?
Absolutely. And I see it in my world on a daily basis. Whereas like, I can't certainly go out and have dinner with my group of friends or with my children because that, that's just not fair. I can't do that right now because that's not fair, because I have the role of making sure that, dad is okay. And that it's such a hard mindset shift. But once you start shifting that and realizing that, you can't take care of anybody else very well if you don't take care of yourself, because then what happens? Then you start getting angry, you start getting frustrated, you start getting short-tempered, and that's not serving yourself or the person that you're helping at all.
No. Yeah. And I certainly can, relate to that. I relate to all the times that I felt like I should do this and I should do that. And, we can't give to anyone from an empty vessel. If you're a care partner, if you're a spouse, and I look at so many spouses right now that are taking care of their loved partner that they lived with for 40, 50 years, right? And there's this feeling of, change in their own life, this feeling of being off balance. And the thing that's hard is that you have to understand that this is a time to pull on resources, bring in home care and take time for you. And it's not a selfish thing. It's an important thing. And that's the thing I think that a lot of people forget about.
Yeah. And I think that's not intuitive, for, some, as a caregiver, professional caregiver and therapist, it's hard because I realize that it's not intuitive for everybody.
Right.
If you know somebody, like my mom is going through cancer, my dad also beat cancer, but he's her primary caregiver. I'm always making sure I'm checking on the both of them.
Yes.
How are you feeling, Dad? Are you doing okay too? So now he goes and plays poker every Saturday. Absolutely. It's a wonderful thing, right?
Yes.
So looking at your family members and, if you know somebody who's in that situation, taking the time to try to pull them away. Perfect. Honestly. Perfect. It could be coffee. It could be a book club. It could be a spa day, get your nails done. It does not matter. You need to take time for yourself.
I would like to thank Dr. Shawn Weiss for being with us this week, talking about emotional wellness. And you can reach her again at www.seniorhealthandwellness.org. And next week, we will explore physical wellness. How can you keep a vibrant, healthy life? What are some daily habits that you can adapt? We'll see you next week. Answers for Elders thanks you for watching the Vitality Revolution. Discover a blueprint to find a whole new gear in life, new awareness, and greater potential. Subscribe and be a part of our community. Answers for Elders is the North Star of navigating senior care, featuring content to help later life go a lot easier.